if you come from a family, you're going to find something in our show or someone that you can relate to.
Welcome home, Pops.
David, you described the show as fantastical but relatable, which is just a perfect summary of what's going on the screen. Because at its core, we have a very universal family story, but there's this dreamlike and absurdist aspect that makes it so unique. And what's the thing that audiences around the globe can take away from your show?
Well, yes, that is how I describe it, fantastical and relatable. I hope that the relatable factor is going to be the initial thing that makes people want to go on the journey, and that the fantastical element is what they'll also be entertained by, because, we there's a lightness of touch to it, there's a whimsy to it, but then it's also grounded. It deals with real themes and real people. But you also are seeing a demographic of person who I don't know that we've seen in this place and time in this way. I've had the privilege of doing several films in the 60s in an American setting, but they're almost always tied to very real, edgy and intense racial struggle. And that's very valid. I'm proud of those projects, but this is, in my opinion, a balance in an equally important way of just having a global audience be able to transpose their experiences onto this specific family. I do think us finding the things that we have in common is the most potent way of breaking down prejudice and increasing understanding and empathy. And so to do that with a family comedy, I think is kind of a beautiful thing as well.
I think what audiences can take away is this idea that the impossible is possible. When Paul and I first started collaborating and talking through and coming up with ideas, I was like, can we shoot any of this stuff? And we had, by the way, the stuff that we didn't shoot was even wilder. And when we were like really talking things through, we had wild stuff on this page. And Paul was like, yes, we can shoot all of this. And so that opened me up as a writer to be able to do anything. You're always told what you can and can't do. And so this idea, we can shoot the impossible, then I can write the impossible. And then all these characters are going for impossible dreams, especially in the time of what everybody wants versus pole vaulting versus becoming an engineer, businessman, to becoming a designer, and they're all going for their dreams.
I think that thematically, when you deal with a family environment, people who come from families are automatically going to find something or someone in the family that's being depicted that they can relate to, irregardless of distance, time period, nationality, gender. All of these things are secondary to the human connection. And our show displays a wonderful, quirky family. And like I said, if you come from a family, you're going to find something in our show or someone that you can relate to, because families have universal challenges. Also, I think it has to do with the color scheme that they use in the palette and the backdrop. Certain colors, like a really sharp blue or like maybe a really kind of bright green. These colors, they evoke certain feelings in all people.
I think that Paul's vision, Paul Hunter, it starts with him. I mean, the world that he's built is so left of center in the best way possible. It's so fresh and innovative. The way he frames every shot like it's its own picture, like it's its own piece of art in itself, makes it stand out. Like the visual component of the show makes it its own thing. And just the fact that there's never been, at least for us, a story like this centered on African Americans, the African American experience, makes it its own thing as well.
Yeah, I second that. I think it's very refreshing to have a look at the Black experience that's not about civil rights or race. And I think people will like that new take on it and appreciate that. And I think it'll be relatable because I think the family dynamics that play out in this are very real and a place of authenticity because it is based lots off of Paul's life. So yeah, viewers will appreciate that and relate to that a lot.